As season opening games go, you'd be hard-pressed to remember a more dramatic one than this one. From Adrian Peterson's record-setting return to Jacksonville's last-second deflating touchdown to the remarkable right foot of rookie kicker Blair Walsh, this one had it all, and we'll bring it to you right now on Rosen Sports Sunday. And good evening, everyone, and officially welcome to our 31st season of Rosen Sports Sunday here on Channel 4. The Vikings had the very reliable Ryan Longwell as their kicker from 2006 through last season. They decided to part ways, part economics, part looking for someone with a stronger leg. Blair Walsh had that leg. The question was and is, would he be accurate enough? For 1 week, an all-important opening week under perfect conditions, Walsh coolly kicked that 55-yard field goal in the last play of regulation. This after Jacksonville had stunned the Vikings with a 39-yard touchdown pass just seconds earlier. It wasn't out of desperation. The Vikings know Walsh has the range to kick it 60-plus if necessary. But under these circumstances, with the game on the line, man, he was as cool could be. This is like driving one down the middle of the fairway 300-plus yards on the 18th hole of Augusta. The 55-yarder tied for the second longest in team history with Ryan Longwell, 1 yard behind Paul Ettinger. There's a trivia question for you. Walsh nailed a 38-yarder in OT for good measure to provide the final 6 points in as close to a must-win for a struggling franchise as you could get in Game 1.
It's awesome. It's really awesome. We came out and fought so hard for this victory, and we worked so hard in the offseason, and this was the first time, we're actually counted, and it's awesome to go out there and just get a win from these guys.
Blair, no words need to say it, but that was outstanding to come away and kick the way he did at the end of regulation, and then to kick the game-winning field goal in overtime as a rookie. It doesn't get much more pressure than that, and to come through for us, I mean, it really improved the confidence of our players, along with his confidence as time goes on.
And with us in studio on this late Sunday night, as he is throughout the season, Vikings radio analyst at KFAN, former assistant coach, player with the Vikings, Pete Burridge. Well, that was interesting. Jacksonville had to be kicking themselves all the way back in their flight to Florida tonight, Pete. I mean, think about it. They have 20 seconds to go to seal the deal, and in the words of Denny Green, we let him off the hook. But credit Christian Ponder and, of course, that young man, Blair Walsh, for saving the day for the Vikings tonight.
Right, and yeah, Blair Walsh was huge. We have him come through and not only kick that 55-yarder, but even when there was more pressure on him in the overtime to get that kick done as well. And, it was kind of a tale of almost two halves again for the Vikings, especially for the Viking offense. The first 4 series all ended in punts. They scored on the 6 of the next 8. So it took the offense a little while to get going, but once they did, they put some points on the board.
Keep in mind, of course, the manner in which the Vikings would have lost this game in the final 20 seconds would have put the Purple Faithful in a funk they may not have recovered from, given the fact we were 3-13, right. And it's just a whole different aura because of what happened in those final 14 seconds.
Right. And these are the kinds of games that, opening day, it's never going to be a must-win. But for two franchises struggling for momentum, what happened with Jacksonville last year, us coming off of 3-13, getting a win today or getting a W is huge for both sides. Now, losing a game like this, these are the ones that come back to bite you at the end of the year when you're right on the bubble for making a wild card or a playoff. And I'm not predicting that necessarily for either team. There's still a long way to go. But these games that you lose early, first couple weeks of the season, man, it's tough to make those up later on. Really,
after months of speculation about Adrian Peterson, it came to a head this week. He was the last man running out of the tunnel. We got the word at 10:30 officially today. He was starting and going to play. And he said it was the most emotional part of the day today. And an amazing day for this man. It's just a freak of nature.
Yeah, it really was. And to have him come back, he go out there, score 2 touchdowns. I mean, does he look like he was before he got injured? I don't think he's quite there yet, but just a gutty performance. And he breaks Robert Smith's record. And you think of the Viking rushing record, and you think of Robert Smith having an ACL and a PCL and all the other injuries that he had to come back from. It's just not easy to do. So you have this super freak in Adrian Peterson, who still has to overcome a number of things to do that. Despite his natural ability, he still has to work and overcome to get there. So it had to have been a great day for him.
And inspiring his teammates, and he reset the bar pretty high for other athletes coming back from ACL surgery, and gave them hope because only after 8 months he was back in the starting lineup on opening day as he had promised. Let's get to the first half highlights. They really didn't miss a beat, but Blaine Gabbert could serve an approach 17-play opening drive as we look at Adrian Peterson getting off to that start.
Yeah, and you see Adrian just keeping on fighting. fighting, and that's kind of what you wanted to see. I mean, never went down easy, and his offensive linemen were there to protect him.
Yeah, Gabbert did connect a 26-yarder here. This is an unusual thing for him, though.
Right. And again, some guy named Cecil Shorts, who I'd never even heard of, really coming in this game, but a beautiful touch pass, getting it between the corner and the safety.
Ball control. Gabbert again, touchdown pass. 9-0.
Yeah.
It was 9-0 instead of 10-0 because Matt Khalil, the #1 draft choice, blocks the extra point.
How big of a play is that? I mean, you come off the field and you see it blocked. You didn't really know who did it. You see Matt Khalil's the guy out there who did that, and just a talented young man.
Everything changed for this offense when they got Percy Harvin involved.
I think Percy Harvin is still, despite Blair Walsh's performance, the MVP tonight because he carried the heavy load. He did a lot of lifting, and without for Percy, this offense would have been completely anemic in the first half.
Peterson walks in for the touchdown. It's 9-7. The Jaguars ran 35 plays compared to 23 for the Vikings. You have to say to yourself, they're only down 9-7. If you look at that first half, you mentioned they punted first four times. Jacksonville had 17 plays in their opening drive. A better team would have had a lot more points on the board.
No, there's no argument there. And again, for the Vikings, they have to go in at halftime and say, we're not playing very well, but yet we're still really in this game. We got some momentum off that last score. And, for Christian Ponder early in the game, just not sharp. Play actions, wide open Michael Jenkins and missing those. And so holding on to the ball again too long, I think a little bit on the sack with the forced fumble. So he started out a little slow. But again, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And these guys battled today, so you have to give them credit.
And Jacksonville was completing way too many third down plays as well, which they tilted in their favor if you look at the stat sheet by the end of the game. The Vikings needed to get that offense to jump start. I mentioned Harvin, Peterson, Kyle Rudolph, the tight end. Jacksonville took the opening kickoff of that second half. We're on the 44-yard line, attempting one of those time-consuming drives again, but this time a costly muffed snap from center gave the Vikings early life. Not many turnovers today, but this was a big one for him. Yeah, this is a big one, Brad. Meester snapping that ball too quickly, but for the Jacksonville offensive line, I mean, you just had Guy Wimper going in there for Cameron Brandfield. You had a musical chairs almost, really, for Jacksonville. The injuries have started already, and that really messed them up. And there's a couple of nifty moves by Adrian Peterson, looking pretty fresh there. Yeah, running behind a fullback. He said it, I don't know how many times, how he just does not care to run behind a fullback, but, nice blocking up front. Matt Khalil had an unbelievable day blocking, I think. A lot of nice big holes for him, and so Adrian just took advantage of those, again, right there. I think both of our offense and defensive line won the battle up front. I made it 14-9, the Vikings' first lead. Ponder got better. They got some help from the wide receivers. Here's Michael Jenkins. Right, and I think every wide receiver at some point or another today, Devin Aromashadu, Michael Jenkins, all these guys had stepped up at one point or another. I mean, so they all contributed to this win today. Chris Cook on a corner blitz here. Right, there's something that you haven't seen, and Alan Williams bringing something new, something different. Chris Cook on a blitz, his first one of his career, and so just mixing it up a little bit. They were aggressive today. They got after Jacksonville. Not so good for Chris Cook on this play. No, and that's how quickly you can go from a high to a low, and that was just too close of a repeat from last year, and just the worst time in the world for a breakdown. Look at the clock for yourself. There's 12 seconds. Ponder staying cool in the pocket. There's a huge play that Aromashadu. Right, Devin Aromashadu's third catch, I believe, of the game at the time. 3 big ones, and just to calm, cool, and get down the field, and boom. 55 yards. I mean, talk about a perfect down the middle of the fairway. There's the kick by Blair Walsh right there. Yeah, and you're happy for the kid. I mean, you sometimes wonder if he even realizes the pressures and things that are on him. He's just out there doing his job. The Vikings get the ball in overtime. There's Adrian Peterson almost breaking it there. Right, and he's just running right straight downhill, and you see Matt Khalil knocking down the tackle and then getting up to the second level on the linebacker. I mean, AP had some nice running lanes in front of him. Jacksonville, because of the new rules, had a chance to come back in overtime, but on 4th down, incomplete, going long. And that's the end of the game right there. Huge sigh of relief given what could have happened, maybe should have happened to the Vikings this afternoon. Well, again, they battled, and like Leslie Frazier said after the game, there's 4 quarters in the NFL, and we played probably 2.5, 3 of them. But they battled, and again, they battled, they came back, they fought, and I don't care if it's, and the Vikings don't care if it's Jacksonville or the 49ers. You beat another NFL team. It's one in the win column. That's all that matters right now. After the game, Adrian Peterson, now the Vikings' all-time leading rusher, and linebacker Chad Greenway talked about the importance of that first win.
It was huge for us. It was our first home game, the open season in like 4 or 5 years. You got a lot of young guys on this team. So, it was good for us, just as an organization, and the team for us to come out and, pull out a big W. And in the fashion that we did, This
is the game we probably lose last year, and God bless it. I don't know how it happened, but 20 seconds left, 2 great plays by Bill. 14 seconds left, really. Two great play calls by Bill, and unbelievable kick. Gives us a chance to win it, and then the big drive in overtime. So credit the offense for really keeping us in at the end.
Yeah, take it and run with it. I asked you earlier tonight after the game to send me some questions on Twitter about the season opener. We'll get to those coming up next, as well as rookie kicker Blair Walsh. Of course, drawing rave reviews for handling all the pressure and then some of today's Dome wins. Stay with us. And welcome back to Rosen Sports Sunday, live from our Channel 4 newsroom. When the Vikings bid farewell to Ryan Longwell, you knew it was a bit of a gamble, but the scouting department apparently did their homework on his replacement. Today, Blair Walsh had a career day on his first day of his career. Mike Max has more from the Dome.
Watch him on the sidelines, and you might confuse him for a veteran. That's part of the reason he is here.
Well, he is. He's very confident. As a kicker, you have to have that. You have to be able to shrug off a miss if you have one, and just go on to that next kick. And I think it's great that he has that because that's what you need to succeed.
Watch him kick field goals, and you realize he's done this before, and he expects results.
You have to do it. I mean, you got to give yourself a chance to go out there and hit it. And the snap and hold were perfect. The execution was perfect, and I got a good hit on it and went in.
But what happened in the final seconds was even better than he expected. First, getting in position.
Absolutely. We had 3 timeouts. I went over and started just prepping, hitting, trying to make sure my trajectory was right so I could hit a good ball because I knew it was going to be a long field goal no matter what we did. And our offense did a great job of actually getting to the sidelines, getting out of bounds. And
that set the stage for the rookie. That's what you call a nice first win, huh?
Great first win. What a way to put it out. The defense did a great job of closing it, and great start to the season.
You get the feeling Blair Walsh will have many memorable days in his NFL career. You also get the feeling he'll be hard-pressed to top what happened today. Because after he tied it, he had one more job, to win it in overtime. Is the NFL what you thought it would be in week 1?
It's more than what I thought it would be. It's insane, honestly. It's insane.
How are you going to celebrate it?
With my family. My family's actually up here, so that was good that they decided to come to my first game, and I'll just be with them all night and enjoy the moment.
And ice that right foot. After the game, I asked my Twitter followers to ask Pete a question at WCCO-Rosen. I got some terrific responses. I have an iPad. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Jerhawk 1974 wanted to know, how was Shorts left single covered on the last second long touchdown pass? Where was the safety? Where was the safety? Was he supposed to be over there?
You have to kind of take a look and really see what defense they're playing, but it appeared that he should have been a deep third player. Chris Cook should have been, so he should have never have gotten himself in a position to let Shorts run by him because he played off. He was 10 yards off the ball at the snap, so it's not the safety's play to get over the top. In fact, Cook, the safety in the other corner, should have been really the 3 deep defenders. So
yeah, Leslie Frazier said the safety really was where he was supposed to be. This was Cook's deal.
Yeah, it's just a simple technique breakdown, and unfortunately for a guy like Chris who played well, had a sack at corner. That's the pressure that they're under. One play like that at any specific time could ruin your day.
It's going to happen a lot more. I mean, they're going to try to isolate him. TJB Vikings 2010 wants to know, what was with Harvin returning the kicks from deep in the end zone? He's not afraid to bring them out.
No, he's not, and I think the coaching staff feel good enough about Percy to go ahead and say, even if you're 7-8 yards deep, if you feel it, because hang time's part of it too. So if it's a line drive, he catches it deep and he still feels it, he can go ahead and let him take it out there. And the key is to get it out past the 20. If you get it out past the 20, then it's worthwhile. But Harvin, again, I take a step back, and I think Percy Harvin was the MVP of the offense today because he did the heavy lifting. He moved this offense when it had nowhere to go. These short 2-yard, 1-yard passes that he turns into 15, 16-yard gains. I mean, Harvin was the MVP, in my opinion, of the offense. Time
and time again, he does that as well. Paul Riswing wants to know, why didn't Frazier let Ponder try a pass for a first down late in the fourth quarter? Now, they did get awfully conservative when one first down wins it. They had a 3rd and 6 from their 18. They handed the ball off. They played right into Jacksonville's hand because they didn't have any, the timeouts left.
Right.
You always wonder about that. You know, what would Tom Brady do? They were a little too conservative there.
Yeah, they might have been, and those are the kinds of plays that you want to get back. But at the same time, you know, we don't have a Tom Brady. We're not Ben Roethlisberger throwing the ball up and down the field all the time, and so you have to go with what you have confidence in and what you're seeing on the field. But I expect that Bill Musgrave made the right call, or what he thought would be.
Last 20 seconds. Vikings at Indy next week. Andrew Luck, who lost at Chicago 41-21. A good chance for the Vikings to go 2-0. Good test for the pass rush in the secondary again, because Luck's going to put it up for a lot next week.
Yeah, he really is. And what's nice, though, is that the Bears play a very similar style of defense as we do. So hopefully they're going to give us a little bit of tape and some tells on the young Luck, and so we'll see. But Indy's a tough place to play. It's a tough place to win. A little different than it was back in the day with Manning, but still, to go 2-0, you almost have to with taking a look at what the 49ers look like today against the Green Bay Packers. You're going to have a tough squad coming in here in 3 weeks, so you need to be 2-0 going into that third game.
Entertaining next week for sure. Pete, as always, good to see you. See you back here after the Indy game next Sunday night. Coming up next on Sports Sunday, former Twins manager Tom Kelly is honored in a big way this weekend at Target Field. Stay with us. Longtime Twins manager Tom Kelly is one of those guys who pretty much despises wearing a coat and tie or any real formalities in life. Keep it simple. A good plate of pasta, a cheap cigar to chew on afterwards, and maybe a 5-iron in his hands. Last night at Target Field, Tom Kelly was honored for all he did on the field for the Twins, managing them to a couple of World Series titles. He had his number 10 retired, and this was a very big deal. Former Twins, including Hall of Famers Rod Carew and Bert Blylev, and Tony Oliva, Ken Herbeck, and so many others in attendance as Kelly thanked so many, he said, who made him look good, like the late, great Kirby Puckett. It was a humbling night for TK.
The game is not about the manager. It's not about the coaches, media, front office people, none of those. It is certainly not about any umpire either. God forbid, help us. It's about the players.
Yeah, TK, give yourself some credit. You were quite the manager as well. Justin Morneau gave the Twins a nice little walk-off home run and an 8-7 win over Cleveland at Target Field today. Cleveland is here again tomorrow night. Stay with us. Program note for you tennis fans out there. Reminder, the men's U.S. Open Championship will be televised live here on Channel 4 tomorrow at 3 p.m. Novak Djokovic facing Andy Murray after Serena Williams took home the women's title today. As we mentioned, Pete Burridge will return next Sunday night after the Vikings return from Indy and their date with Andrew Luck and the Colts. Thanks for staying up and watching. We'll see you again next Sunday night. Good night, everyone.